So I think we ought to move to mistake number seven.
It talks about not taking advantage of the Roth IRA conversion saving strategies. Now, how are consumers not taking advantage of these strategies, and what should we be doing?
Okay. I tell you the truth, Carolyn, a lot of the consumers are unaware. You've heard me talk in various meetings and other media outlets. We talk about the fact that a lot of folks they're educated but not informed about the various tax advantages and tax strategies that are available to them when it comes to qualified money. All right, let's take the Roth IRA conversion. All right. First off, it's a 5-year wait, or I should say waiting period. Whereas the advantage here is that with a Roth IRA, you don't have to be subject to the required minimum distribution at 70.5. However, the Roth conversion is not for everyone. Okay. All right. I want to give you an example. Let's say we have $300,000. All righty. And you have to pay the taxes up front, both federal and state. So we're talking about $99,000, I'm gonna round up to $100,000 that would come out of that $300,000 nest egg.
Okay.
Now, okay. One of the things you might want to consider is using the Roth IRA, where the distribution is tax-free. A lot of IRA owners are affluent, and they say, well, I don't need to take an RMD. I don't even need this IRA. So therefore, I like to pass this on to my spouse, children or grandchildren, all right? And the distribution from that Roth is all tax-free. Now, I just want to mention the fact that I mentioned that the Roth IRA conversion is not for everyone. Okay. All right. Suppose you are under the age of 59.5. All righty. I'm talking about a mistake here. Now, you can, within that 5-year period, take out the principal. Now, if we started with $300,000, we could take that out within the 5-year period, but there'd be taxes on the gains. Now, in addition to that, if you're under the age of 59.5, something could have came up where you need the funds. There's a 10% penalty on that too. The other mistake you could make is that you have a $300,000 traditional IRA.
Okay.
So you decide, you say, well, I'm going to take the $100,000 out of that IRA.
Okay.
Okay, right out of the portfolio. Well, the first thing is it's going to be subject to taxation. The $99,000 or $100,000 that to pay off the Roth conversion tax reduces your portfolio down to $200,000. So in other words, you paid $100,000 in taxes for a $200,000 Roth IRA. If you're aged, here's where it might not be beneficial to have the Roth. Let's say you're aged or you have health problems, okay? Will you have time to recover the Roth conversion taxes? Okay. Now, some of the signs that you're a good candidate for the Roth conversion, I'm gonna hit on that in a minute. But before I do, there is a way where we could pay that Roth conversion tax off or take without disturbing the whole $300,000. Well, you got non-qualified, which I defined earlier, monies in CDs, money market accounts, or savings accounts. We could take this after-tax money, $100,000, and have the full Roth IRA. And again, we've seen in our practice that a lot of affluent people that have IRAs say they don't need it, and it's a good tool in estate planning if you have a spouse or your children, grandchildren. They can receive that legacy tax-free. I mentioned the fact that if you have non-qualified funds to pay the conversion tax, that's true. Now, if you believe that the tax bracket or your surviving heirs tax brackets will be higher in the future, that's a good strategy to use to make sure that your loved ones receive the distribution tax-free. Now, I want to mention a sign where you're not a good candidate for the Roth IRA. Now, the conversion tax, I mentioned advanced age or in poor health, you're not likely to recoup the conversion tax. The conversion tax can also raise the marginal tax bracket. But I also want to mention there's another vehicle that we can take advantage of. And you know what that is?
The insurance arbitrage.
Yeah. IRA insurance arbitrage. Now, what that is you utilize life insurance to produce a tax-free death benefit. You build cash value, all right, which you could take out tax-free. Let me give you a good example. Suppose we have $300,000 in a traditional IRA. Okay. Now, you'd like to have this IRA transferred to your heirs. Let's say our children, grandchildren. And what happens is that we can look at a strategy and say, well, how can we get a distribution from this traditional IRA using this estate planning tool such that when the money is given to the children, the distribution is, it's all tax-free? Well, it's simple. We got $300,000. Let's pay the taxes, okay. All right, from that traditional IRA. So we extract $120,000 from it because we had 40% tax bracket. We have $180,000 left. That $180,000, Carolyn, we can use to purchase a permanent life insurance policy. Now, what are the benefits? Number one, it's a great estate planning tool which can pass these funds on to a legacy to generations. Number two, the death benefit is all tax-free. All right. Now, it's building cash values. All righty. And the monies that those cash values can be taken out of that policy, again, tax-free. So what we had at one time, net to the heirs out of $300,000, $180,000. We used $120,000 to pay the taxes. And then we bought a single life premium permanent coverage for $180K. Net to the heirs, $400,000, like I said, tax-free. And the amazing thing is that you can use a combination of the Roth the traditional IRA, Roth conversion, and also you can use cash value life insurance, give you permanent coverage, and you can. Now it depends on your tax bracket. Another good strategy too is to. We know that a number of folks reach 70 and a half and have to take a mandatory withdrawal each and every year, and the percentage increases with attained age at 70 and a half. And that's referred to as required minimum distribution. Well, if we start off at 3.65% at age 70 and a half, by the time you hit age 80, we have to take out 5%. So what we could do is pay the taxes on the required minimum distribution and then purchase the after-tax monies, a life insurance policy. Another thing we can do, since we can do annual withdrawals from an IRA to purchase life insurance. If we're going to establish an estate and utilize these tools, state tools, we can get 10% penalty free each and every year. All right, let's say you have 300,000, $500,000, let's take 500,000. You could take $50,000 out, penalty free. If you're coming out of the IRA, of course, it's subject to taxation because it's treated as ordinary income to be taxed. However, after the taxes are paid, you ready? You could purchase a permanent life insurance policy that offers 3 major income tax advantages. 1 is tax deferred. 2, it builds up cash value. and the tax-free access to the cash value via low-interest net loans and tax-free death benefits for your beneficiaries. So that works pretty well. Let's say you borrow $10,000 from your life insurance policy to supplement your retirement income. There's a 6% loan, okay, interest rate, so you would owe $600 of loan interest. However, you're credited 5% annually on your policy. You follow me?
Okay.
So the net loan is just 1%. So that's $100. So you can utilize safe money products, which we specialize in retirement planning through IRA distribution. We're going to talk about that a little later on in the segment. And different strategies to help clients and their loved ones, children, grandchildren, and so on, and take advantage of some of the, or I should say, adhere to some of the income tax advantages that are available.